Hello friends, folks, family and insignificant others. I'm Goemon and my neighbors are morons. So all of this started at the beginning of summer, which is about a month ago, and I decided that this year I want to have a green yard with grass and flowers and such. But lazy as I am, I didn't want to do anything for it, so I just decided to let grow what grows. Because there's some crazy Calgary bylaw that will actually forbids you to let the grass grow above the height of 15 centimeters. Now, I am German and I'm used to a crazy frantic amount of laws regulating about every single item in your life, but this might be getting a bit much. Well, one might think that the Calgary police would actually have enough to do with, I don't know, fighting crime, catching murderers, hunting thieves, but no, the Calgary police is so heavily overstaffed that they actually have spare time to say, "Yo hippo, your grass is taller than 15 centimeters. We might have to give you a ticket for that." So long story short, I basically ignored all of that because I wanted to have a green yard more than anything else. But alas, no, a couple of weeks ago some moron dude of Italian heritage came around and mowed the front lawn. So it was a weekday around noon during a severe heat wave. We had about 30 degrees Celsius permanent for about a week at that point already. And I come home at noon and sure enough there's this crazy dude on a front lawn mowing. And of course I've never seen that dude before because he doesn't even live in this neighborhood. So I thought, hey, what the heck? And he said, "Yo man, I'm mowing your lawn because my friend over there asked me to." And I thought, well, okay. So I had a little chat with him, and I think I brought across the point that mowing a lawn that is not yours during a heat wave may not be advantageous for anyone involved. Especially for you, moron. And he said, yeah, sure dude, I will just finish the front lawn and then I will go home, eh? And I really thought that was it. Silly me. A couple of days later when I arrived home, sure enough the back lawn was mowed as well. But of course the heat wave wasn't over and nobody actually wanted to donate water to it, so it basically fell dry and now we have this wonderful carpet of grey and brown. I actually talked about that matter with some of my neighbors and they said, well, you know, that might be a fire hazard over there with all the tall long grass when you're standing there. And I thought, well, if long green grass is already a fire hazard, what may they say to a yard full of dry grass? But luckily enough, all of my neighbors are morons and they didn't even notice. In the end, all of my efforts were in vain and I don't really have a green lawn anymore. I even put up little signs saying, "This is a xeriscaping landscape. Please don't disturb." And I purchased a scythe off the internet and I spent 3 or 4 days sharpening the blade because I actually bought it used, and the farmer dude who owned this scythe before me didn't only not take care of it, he actually completely ruined the blade. So it will take about 1 or 2 more weeks of work until this blade is finished again. Never mind, all of this is irrelevant because I don't even have a lawn anymore because everything is burned. Idiot Italian moron. Another very valuable experience that came out of this very interesting story is that I personally looked up Calgary bylaws and even the Alberta Weed Control Act as to make sure that my little yard doesn't foster anything that is considered hazardous and will destroy the world. Because, you know, those things happen. Yes, for everybody who's not Canadian or not even North American, there's a 10-page document called the Alberta Weed Control Act that regulates plant growth in rural Alberta. So I looked through this entire list and it basically lists almost every single plant that naturally grows in Alberta, plus a few more. And for your utter pleasure, here's an excerpt. Plants that you're not allowed to grow in Alberta because they're considered noxious weeds. Balsam, garlic mustard, tamarisk, ox-eye daisies. You cannot even grow a flower garden before you've educated your entire neighborhood. Otherwise they will mistake your daisies as weeds and just throw them out. Peppergrass. And last but not least, fizzles. About 10 species of fizzles. What can you possibly have against fizzles? They are beautiful. Above all things, this is Calgary, which has a strong, very strong Scottish background. This may not be news to you or me, but it is certainly news to my moron neighbours. That the fizzle is actually the plant of the Scottish Highlands. Heather! Shut up. And today I realized that one of my neighbours actually got onto my backyard while I was physically departed and ripped out all of the wildflowers that grew in my backyard. I am not quite sure what is wrong with having free wildflowers that grow without doing anything for them, but ask my neighbours, they may not be able to tell you either, because they're freaking morons. But let us get back for a second for the idiot of Italian heritage who mowed my lawn during a heat wave. So what he claimed and told me is that one of his friends that lives just down the street told him something like, "Man, there is this guy who lives down the street from me just a few houses away, and he has the grass growing so high that I can't even tell you how high it is, and I think someone should go over and mow that." Yo, that is all very interesting, but what do I have to do with that? So apparently the tenant who lives in that house with very long grass, he just moved into the neighborhood about a year ago, and he exorcised that Chinese demon that tortured us for about 3 or 4 years, and he rebuilt the house, and he lives there together with about 5 students that we don't know anything about. And he is about 6.5 feet tall, and no one actually ever talked to him about this, and he just purchased and sharpened a scythe. I think it's reasonable to assume that he won't have anything against someone cutting his lawn in the middle of a day when other people actually want to take a nap, and during the middle of a heat wave. Oh man, the way you describe it makes it sound so reasonable. I think I will wait a bit until it's really hot outside, and then I will go over and cut the lawn. Yeah, makes total sense. And finally, on a slightly more positive note, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything else that I talked about in this video, Steve, if you're watching, fresh table corn in your face. Eat that, law-breaking hippo. This is Goemon, idiotic greetings, and DFTBA.